Hey guys, welcome back to Puppet Lauda, and welcome back to Steam Prison. We are about to have the assembly, the radio's been set up, we all insulted Finn, and I don't know, let's just get right into it.
ラジオって何ですか?
Oh no. Oh, right. Of course Finn doesn't know. How can I explain it to him though? So, there are two little boxes. They're about this big, maybe a bit smaller? Anyway, you can talk to one of the boxes and hear the voice from the other box. Something like that.
Oh.
God.
説明下手くそすぎだろ。
Shut up!
お前、彼女に対して無礼が過ぎる。言葉に気をつけろ。
Oh no!
はあ？なんだよ、意味わかんないし。僕はこういう喋り方なんだ。この女だけ特別扱いとか絶対してやんない。
なんだと？
Finn, stop it.
ウルリク、ここは上階なんですから、お行儀よくしましょうね。
バカ、保護者面するな。
なんというか、二人とも
ガキ。ガキじゃない。
って言うな。
It's so good. I love it. Come on. It's so good. I love that. I actually love how aggressive Finn gets. Everything's happened so quickly. Of course they had. Saint Yune had come.
いよいよですね。歴史的瞬間になるかもしれませんね。
Yes, I hope I don't miss anything. Saint Yune stopped in front of the throne. He looked around, resting his eyes on each face in turn.
急な呼び出しにもかかわらず、今日は集まってくれてありがとう。それから、今まで尽くしてくれてありがとう。すでに通達したように、本日をもって、新会員の議会を解散し、新会員の構造自体を一度解体する。ああ、そうだな。長く続く歴史を崩すんだ。不安に思うだろう。だけど、これはすでに決めたことで、なさねばならないことなんだ。だからどうか、最後まで私の話を聞いてほしい。
Once the commotion had subsided, Saint Yune continued. Until a new assembly could be installed, Saint Yune was going to rule directly, and Finn Euclase was going to lead the police. Oh shoot, Finn! Finn had a promotion! Oh. Finn looked surprised. It seemed he hadn't been told of this before. Finn had to be convinced to do it. We told him it was only going to be until a new assembly was in place. Afterwards, Saint Yune introduced Eltereed and Ulrik and explained his intention to talk to the depths. There was resistance to that as well. However, since Saint Yune had decided it, the delegates resolved to assist. The next morning, Saint Yune had called for me again. Excuse me. Oh, they're here too. Other than Saint Yune, eh? Eltereed, Ulrik, Sir Enos, Adage, and Finn were all present. Finn looks so depressed. I closed the door and sat down. Finn, you look tired.
はい。父がとても騒いで、よく眠れず。
警察官の統括となったのだ。騒ぎたくなるのも無理はない。
Oh, this is so good. Congratulations, Finn.
いいな。騒いでくれる親がいるってのは。
Oh, yikes. 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 Adage, it's okay. Oh. We fell silent. Adage showed a complicated expression before shrugging.
別に、当てこすりたくて言ったわけじゃない。俺の家庭事情に過剰に反応しないでくれ。失礼した。昨日グリスタードさんを拘束するよう、ハウンズに通達が行ったらしい。
It's hard not to it's hard not to feel sympathetic if you respond to Finn's, like, I don't know, something good that's happening to Finn with your own negativity, you know? Like, it makes us feel bad.
そうか。まあ当然だ。罪人は罰せられるもの。それなりの報いを受けるべきだ。
God, Adage needs lots of hugs and probably some therapy.
俺のことはもういいだろう。さっさと話し合いを始めよ
う。待ってください。ウルリク、ラジオは？
わかった。
Ulrik stood up, walked towards the window, and set down the radio transmitter. We were watching Ulrik fiddle with the radio when Finn whispered in my ear.
あんなおもちゃで俺たちの声が本当に下界へ届くのですか？
Apparently.
下界は恐ろしい技術が発達しているんですね。
Ulrik sat back down and Saint Yune began to speak.
さて、昨晩は私の演説に付き合ってくれてありがとう。議員たちはひどく驚いていたが、想像していたよりは落ち着いているようで安心している。
きっとユネ様の人徳のおかげでしょ
う。だといいのだけど、お前たち下界代表を呼んだのは上界との交流の橋渡し役を頼むためだ。上界と下界は長らく公式には交流を絶っていた。それってとてももったいないことだと思うんだ。上界は統制が徹底し、新会員によって秩序が保たれていた。それは一見楽園のように思えるが、人は個性を奪われ、国を動かす歯車の一つとして動き、集団のために犠牲となる。人の生き方は様々で正解はないと思うけど、生き方を強制し、自由を否定することは不正解だと思う。それに、遥か昔の大洪水によって、私たちの住む場所は引き裂かれたけど、もともとは同じ下界の人間。出生が異なるからといって、蔑み合うのは不条理だ。私はその不条理を断ち切りたい。私たちは違う文明を持っている。互いに支え合えば、より良い生活ができると考えている。当然、互いの怒りや憎しみをなくしていくのは、時間と労力がかかる。今日や明日に解決する問題だとは思ってはいない。だが、将来や未来を思えば、今私たちがしなくてはいけないことなんだ。どうだろうか。
俺はユネ様の考えに賛同します。
はあ、即答かよ。本気で言ってるのか、ヘルト。
Aren't you being recorded?
上界なんかと交流して何の得があると言うんだ。
Everyone can hear you. Oh.
そうですね。まずは医療技術。アダージュさんをはじめ、下界で名の通っている医者は皆上界出身です。下界出身の医者もいるにはいますが、技術は最低です。下界は湿度が高く、菌が繁殖しやすい環境です。病原菌の感染もよく話題に上る。ですが、手立てがないので、ただ収まるのを待つのみです。次に、食物の生産能力。下界は土地こそあるものの、生産及び品種改良の技術はありません。上界は人工施設でありながら自給自足を行えている。つまり生産技術が高いということです。他にも改善したいことはありますが、この2点を協力のもと解決するだけでも、下界の暮らしは確実により良いものとなるでしょう。
That's amazing. His behavior aside, I'd taken him to be kind and positive, but too young to be leading his people. But he seemingly had an extensive opinion on everything Saint Yune had said. This must be what Sir Ines was talking about. I looked at Eltereed, impressed by how quickly his mind must have worked. He noticed my gaze on him and smiled. Then he looked back at Saint Yune.
相手がユネ様だからと話を合わせたわけではありません。俺は俺なりに吟味した結果、賛同することにしました。ですが、一つ条件があります。
条件？
その言葉、直接下界の人々に伝えてはいただけないでしょうか。
Oh, directly.
ユネ様を下界へお連れしろと。
いえ、そうではありません。下界に住む人々の数を考えれば、直接話すのは効率がとても悪い。
Yeah, it would be there for like years.
ですから、あれを使います。
Eltereed gestured towards the window.
窓？
ではなく、ラジオです。
Eltereed stood up and approached the radio transmitter.
下界代表の皆様、エルトクリードです。今のユネ様のお話、聞いてくださっていますよね。本日の夕方までに、ラジオの受信機を各地に設置してください。下界の人々にユネ様のお声をお届けできるまたとない機会です。ご協力をお願いします。
Oh, that's so cool!
と、このように伝えておけば、きっと皆さんに伝わるはずです。
Where was this radio technology earlier? He took the transmitter.
返事も何もないが、本当に大丈夫か？
ええ。ラジオを設置し、ユネ様の肉声が聞けるようにしたという功績が得られるんです。喜んで協力してくれるでしょう。
ユネ様の肉声か。保護地区の者たちも聞けるといいのだが。
Oh, that's a good idea.
かしこまりました。では、俺の部下に用意させましょう。
あれがラジオ。随分と小さくなったものだね。
You know these machines?
うん、知ってる。あれを発明したのはアルセン・クライム。私の家族だから。
This is about to get real sad.
洪水前の話だろ。よく覚えてるな。
当然だよ。彼は大切な家族。忘れるはずがない。机くらい大きな装置だったのに、持ち運べるようになるなんて、下界の技術は素晴らしいね。
Saint Yune gave the faint smile and looked at the ceiling.
ユネ様のお言葉でしたら、晩ご飯の内容でも涙して聞くと思いますよ。
Oh.
もっと大げさに物事が動くと思ったんだけど、いざ実行するとなるとあっさりしているものだね。止めていた時間がようやく動き出す。君の作ったラジオで未来が変わっていくんだ。
Oh.
見ててね。アルセン・クライム。
Oh no, so sad. It's like, it's not really sad, but it's touching, I guess. What the hell? What's going on?
ユネセキエイだ。この放送を通し、私の声が全てのものに届いていることを強く願う。400年と少し前、洪水を予知した一部の者たちは天上に人工の地を作る計画を立てた。計画に組みする者、上界に住む者たちの祖先のほとんどが専門職の者だった。ある者は農学、ある者は科学、ある者は経済学。さまざまな分野から秀でた者が代表として選ばれ、この地に住むことにした。いつか起こると予測されていた大洪水。上界はその天災に備えるために作られた研究施設だったんだ。研究が進み、環境が整った頃、大きな問題が2つ発生した。一つ、大洪水が起こったとして
地上にいる人々全員を救う手立てが見つからないこと。全員を収容するだけの広さは上界にはなかった。もう一つはこの上界が完成する前に大洪水が発生してしまったこと。私たちは救いたかったものを救えなかった。少しも。全くだ。運よく生き延びることができた。ただそれだけだった。この真実は下界の君たちからすれば言い訳でしかない。君たちの祖先は上界の者が想像できないほどの苦しみを味わい、洪水を乗り越えた。私たちはその事実を知りつつ無視し続けた。見捨てたのも同然だ。また上界では限りある資源で生き抜くために統治という檻に入れられ、人間が本来持つべきである自由を奪ってしまった。衣食住や治安、さらに人口や婚姻まで全て管理下に置かれ、家畜のような不便さを強要してしまった。当事者の一人として全てのものに謝りたい。本当にすまなかった。だが遅くなったとはいえ手遅れだと私は思いたくない。上界の者も下界の者も元は同じ地上に住んでいた仲間だからだ。上界の者は下界を怖がり、下界の者は上界を非難する。このような不条理のくさびを壊し、いがみ合うことを止めたいと心から願っている。その第一歩として私は下界の暮らしの改善を約束しよう。衣食住及び医療の技術や書物の提供をし、下界の者たちの学力の向上を努める。下界には資源や機械技術の取引を願いたい。その貿易は互いに利益を生み、双方の発展につながるだろう。そのため私は上界に新しい評議会の構築を宣言する。詳しい取り決めは上界の代表と下界の代表で構成される新しい議会で平等に審議されるだろう。ゆくゆくは自由に交流できるよう法整備を進めていく所存だ。上界と下界を隔てていた不条理の溝は深く、今日や明日で修復できるものではない。だが数十年数百年かかろうとも、君たちが亡くなった後も、君たちの子孫と共に私は諦めず取り組むことをここに誓おう。今日の言葉はその決意だ。私ユネセキエイは宣言する。君たちの力を貸してほしい。今日から始まる新しい世界のために。
Oh my god. I was not expecting that at all. I don't I don't even know how to react. It was really nice. He's so well spoken. I could only oh man.
こんなものかな。もっと簡潔に言えばよかったかも。私の気持ちちゃんと伝わってたらいいんだけど。
I didn't even know we were coming back to this.
いいえ、伝わっていたはずですよ。お疲れ様でした、ユネ様。
Yeah, he did amazing. Way to go.
うん。みんなが黙って聞いてくれたおかげだよ。
The door behind us opened and a single police officer entered. He whispered something into Finn's ear and left. What is it, Finn?
それが
We were reminiscing so happily. What a shame. As it turned out, Sir Berger was coming from the depths. Oh god! We had gone to the station without Saint Yune to receive him.
どうしてこっちに来てまであいつの顔を見なきゃいけないんだよ。
Yeah, what? I nodded, completely agreeing with Ulrik.
それはザクセンがグリッサードさんを連行してくるからだ。
Oh. Glissade. Adage, are you alright?
ああ。今を逃せば一生話せないかもしれないしな。言いたいこと言ってすっきりするつもりだ。
あ、到着したようですね。
Brace yourself. Adage became tense. His nervousness wore off on me and I gulped.
これは盛大な出迎えだな。
Sir Berger.
グリッサードの引き渡しを行いたい。担当は
俺です。いや、俺だ。
はあ？貴様あの時のガキじゃないか。冗談だろ。
いや、今の警察官の統括は彼が担っている。
Look at how, like, smug Ines is.
イネス。警察官はままごとではないんだがな。まあいい。ハウンズリーダー、ザクセン・ブランデンブルク。上階の要請を受け、グリッサード・ローゼライトを拘束し、参上した。
警察官統括、フィン・ユークレース。任務ご苦労。容疑者の身柄、責任持って預かろう。
私にこんなことをするなど、
Ooh.
この恩知らずが。
おん。互いに利用し、利用される仲だった俺たちに、そんなものはないだろう。
Wow, the salt. Adage.
ああ。わかってる。
Adage looked up and approached Glissade.
父さん。
お前は。
アダージュ・ローゼライト。あんたの息子だ。
Oh, this is a nightmare.
アダージュ。ああ。思い出した。劣勢か。
I'm gonna kill him myself.
そうだ。だが、今のあんたと比べれば、俺の方がずっとマシだ。あんたは自分の目的のために他人を犠牲にしたそうだが、俺はそんなことをしない。医者は命をもてあそんではいけない。慈しみ、救うものだ。俺が憧れたあんたは、もうどこにも存在しない。幻影を追うのはもうやめだ。俺はあんたを乗り越え、高みを目指す。あんたが消した数以上の命を救ってみせる。
Oh.
さようなら、父さん。
立ち止まらせはしない。行くぞ。
Glissade was led away, glaring at Adage. Adage sighed when the door closed. That was nice, Adage.
ああ。言いたいことは言ったつもりだ。こんなことで、無駄にした日々は戻ってこないけどな。上界が生まれ変わるように、今日から俺も、生まれ変わるんだ。
Oh, hugs for Adage.
くだらん茶番だ。
Sir Berger.
なんだ、くだらんことをくだらんと言って何が悪い。
しかし驚いたな。ザクスが自ら上界へ来るとは思いもしなかった。
Yeah, that is pretty shocking.
俺を下界へ追放した憎き新官員がついえたと聞いたのだ。見に来ないわけにはいかないだろう。
性格悪っ。
ネズミ、何か言ったか。
僕をネズミって言うな。
口論するのはいいですけど、暴力沙汰はやめてくださいね。
Personally, I'd like to see less arguing as well.
いいじゃないですか。口喧嘩も一つの交流ですよ。
I have to wonder. I grimaced at what Eltereed had said and watched Sir Berger and Ulrik.
僕よりちょびっと背が高いからって調子に乗るなよな。
この件でさらに背を縮ませてやってもいいのだぞ。
This just seems like an argument. Can this be allowed to continue? I looked at Sir Enos, worried about what might happen. He was looking at Burger, perfectly at ease. Apparently the situation was safe. Rebirth, huh? I pondered what Adage had said and looked back. Exchange with the depths was going to increase following St. Yoon's announcement. There were still many unanswered questions, but that was part of what I was looking forward to. I wanted to be positive and accept whatever change would come. For the future, both the people's and mine. A month later. Until later!
おはようございます。改めてよろしくお願いします。
Yes, as do I. Today's the day, Finn.
はい。今日から始まる新しい議会。楽しみですが、不安でもあって。変な感じです。
The new assembly. Under St. Yune's leadership, the entire temple administration had been reformed. Finn had stepped down from his temporary command of the police and had gone back to being a regular officer. That's how it is. Half the delegates are from the depths, after all, and half of the ones are from the heights aren't nobility.
はい。議員経験のある貴族があれほど落選するなんて予想していませんでした。
Yikes. Your father is amazing. He won a very crowded constituency. Wow, that's a word.
それも予想していませんでした。華やかな場に憧れを持っていることは知っていたのですが、まさか政界に踏み込むとは。
He leads a company. His knowledge of the economy will be invaluable. But who would have thought he would win as well?
彼、はあ、そうですね。
Eltereed, Sir Enos, and Adage were all present as delegates from the depths. That makes sense, but why did Sir Burger get elected? Oh my god, fucking Burger! What? Maybe he was more popular all along than I thought.
どうでしょうね。ハウンズのリーダーも兼ねるらしく、特別枠かもしれません。
Explain to me. A special case. It doesn't make sense.
でも、統括として何度か話す機会がありましたが、初めて出会った時よりはいい印象を覚えました。
It was?
はい。気のせいかもしれませんけど、気持ち穏やかになったというか。
Huh. At peace. I can't picture that.
本当に俺の気のせいかもしれませんね。でも、選ばれたからには議員としての仕事を全うするはずです。
Yes, let's hope that's the case. Burger as a politician? By the way, what did you end up doing? Finn looked at me questioningly, and I poked him in the ribs. Marriage regulations were abolished during the Reformation. Didn't you say you received a lot of letters proposing marriage? Did you accept one?
ああ、あれですか。今も届いてますよ。ほぼ毎日。
Damn!
どうしてでしょうね。
He's so popular! There are many reasons. You're from a good family, and you yourself are well regarded. Did you see a proposal you like?
それが、仕事が忙しいというか、なんというか。あなたはどうなんですか？
Me?
はい。あなたは俺よりずっと素晴らしい方です。ですから、見合いの申し込みがあったりするんじゃないですか？
I didn't get any at all.
本当に？
Yeah, none at all. Not even a single. Actually, wait. I got one. The letter was full of flowery nonsense. I was vaguely amazed. Did they really think I would like that? And they didn't even say who they were. I threw it away. It must have been a prank.
処分ですか？
No! It was Finn's! No! Primo! What is it, Finn?
名前を書くのを忘れるなんて。俺、いや、差出人はうっかり者ですね。
Damn right. Looks like neither of us are gonna be married for the time being.
ええ。でも、いいものですね。咎められることなく、思うがままに誰かを好きになれるって。
Yes, I'm not really sure what that means, but the freedom feels nice. Oh, picture get! We all accepted that unsanctioned love is a crime. But the longer I think about it, the more I think that trying to outlaw someone's love for someone else is wrong. We allowed that injustice into our lives. Our society hadn't just been unjust towards love. Injustice lay hidden everywhere in our lives, creeping up on us like a shadow. The biggest injustice was the division between the heights and the depths. Our place of birth had been different, and nothing more than that had led to centuries of conflict. There's a new assembly now, but the future is still unknown. Many things could go wrong. We will have to change either way. For a better future, we will have to change. Oh. We aren't simply protecting the peace in the heights. We are building a better future with the depths. Always faithful. Let's go, Finn. Oh my god! Look at that art! That is the end! Oh my goodness! It has been such a long journey. It's been so long. I don't know if I'm supposed to hit... Oh, I am supposed to hit a button. Oh, Eltereed Valentine. Eltereed is working with Une to make new, better laws. He successfully stood for election and became one of the delegates from the depths. He's still working as the head of the bank and as a representative of Liberalitas. Oh, look at these pictures! This is so cute! Ulrik Ferrie. He went back to the depths and became an engineer. His knowledge led to new forms of transport, facilitating better travel. Currently, with Eltereed's financial backing, he's developing a plane. Oh my goodness. Oh, and it plays all of their themes in the background too. Adage Roselite. He was called up to serve as a doctor by the temple. Along with his medical work in the sanctuary district, he's working to improve rations there. The books he's written are credited with ushering in great improvements to medicine in the depths. Oh my goodness. Ines looks miserable. Ines Heinrich Hein. After finishing his work in the Heights, he was called up by the temple to become a police officer. He's unused to the position as administrator, but works hard to improve. He pours his effort into the training of future police officers. Oh, Une Sekie. He neither ages nor dies. He's watching over the people, guiding them through their cycle of life. Krimu to Stella. Krimu is working to keep the peace in the Heights as a rank 2 officer, alongside Finn. Sometimes she goes into the depths to learn more about the situation there. Oh my goodness. Oh my god! Picture get! Oh, this is so cute! Look at them. Everyone's so happy. I didn't realize that Une was so short in comparison to the rest of them.
Steam Prison.
So that's the end. That's the end of Steam Prison after years of literally playing this game. I think it actually has been over a year. Like, it's been a long time, but it's finally over. I do want to say that I did play through the bad endings, which is why you see all of the bad endings here. I don't know. I was thinking of recording them, but I wasn't really sure if people wanted to see that. I did see some comments saying that they would like to see it, but if you do really want to see it, please comment on this video and I will just see like what the overall consensus is, because I think what I was planning to do maybe was kind of make a compilation video of all the bad endings, so it's just one big long bad ending video, just because I feel like they're shorter than the other endings and stuff like that, so I think it might be more interesting that way, but I'll timestamp it if I end up doing that. So yep, comment below if you want to see that. So now we're just going through the photos, going through all the paths, the good times with Eltereed being a weirdo. I feel like I'm happy with the way that the final ending kind of like did things, where they didn't make the main character like go off with someone romantically. I think they hinted at her ending up with Finn in the end, just because Finn had created that flowery marriage proposal. I feel so bad for Finn. I'm sorry, Finn. We just trashed on your marriage proposal like right off the bat, but I think that it's I don't know. I liked how it ended, but I don't think that the like resolutions for each one of the guys' paths was good. Like, for instance, like, first of all, how did Burger become a delegate? How is that even possible? Why is he a politician? Like, he's not a good, he needs therapy. Like, he's not doing okay. He hasn't gotten over Thea's death. He, like, is kind of a bad person. Well, not even kind of. He is a bad person in a lot of the routes. And he, like, even though he might be, like, somewhat good at heart, I think he genuinely needs something more than just, like, oh, well, we'll just sweep that under the rug and he can just be a delegate or something. Like, no, he needs help. Like, I don't understand why Burger got a happy ending, and then you look at Saint Yune, and Saint Yune literally is cursed to live forever. And I'm like, it wasn't it that, like, we literally just played his freaking bad end, or not bad end, good end. I say bad end because it seemed really bad, but I feel like we played his good end, and his good end was like he didn't have to live forever. And this, it's like, oh, well, he's cursed to live forever. Like, it's not even, they didn't even say cursed, but, like, he literally just becomes a god. Like, he watches over everybody and makes sure that, like, the government is on the right path. And I'm like, is that really a good end for him, though? Like, he's always wanted to die. Like, that means that he literally is going to see all of these people die. And it's like, I don't know. I just don't feel like that's a good end. And then, like, Adage just, he just goes up to Glissade and is like, screw you, you suck. And then that's it. That's his resolution. Like, I guess there isn't really a good way to end that, but at least Glissade, like, went to jail. Like, I thought that St. Yun, not to hop back to St. Yun, but I thought that St. Yun would get, like, the key from Ulrik or something, you know? Like, I think that the best endings ended up being, like, for Ulrik and for, like, Eltereed, and maybe even Enos. Like, they all ended up doing stuff that they like to do. Like, well, I mean, Enos looked miserable in his photo, but they're all, like, working for the betterment of society, and, like, I don't know, Ulrik's, like, making planes and having fun, and then Eltereed's doing Eltereed things and making pasta, and then Enos is, like, training the military and stuff. Meanwhile, like, Adage and, like, Yune, I feel like just got kind of, like, the short end of the stick, and Finn is just, I guess Finn had a good ending. I mean, Finn's just a mess. I feel it's kind of bad for Finn, but I'm glad that we were able to play the DLC and stuff like that for him and everything, so. I did also make a tier list of all of the endings, because I feel like I couldn't make a tier list of all of the guys. I think that all of the guys were really good options. They all brought unique things to the table. Some of them obviously aren't exactly my type. Eltereed. but I think that they're all so unique, and so I really liked that. Instead, I wanted to talk about my tier list for the endings, because I feel like the endings were a totally different story, where some were I thought were great and like really comprehensive, and others I thought were like absolutely horrifying. So here's my final like kind of thoughts on the roots. This is probably not a surprise to anybody, but if it is, I mean, I'm going to explain them anyways. S is the best rank and F is the worst. Let's just start from the bottom. So everybody knows that I did not like Saint Yune's route. I feel like it was super confusing. I thought that I was getting, like, honestly, I was getting so much whiplash from it being good to bad, and then honestly, it just went bad, and then at the very end, flipped back to being a good ending. And I just can't accept the fact that Krimu getting stabbed and Saint Yune going down to the depths and getting absolutely wrecked by the people in the depths, getting stoned, like having rocks thrown at him, not like smoking weed or anything. And then him going to Glissade, and then Glissade like experimenting on him and filling him with fluids and stuff. Like, I just can't accept that as a good ending. And I feel like Krimu somehow surviving getting stabbed in the frickin' stomach, and then showing up with Ulrik, and then saving Saint Yune, and then going and opening his chest and all this stuff. Like, I felt like it was so confusing and rushed. I think that they did it just to make us cry, maybe, or maybe to like add a lot of drama and stuff. And the thing is, like, I kind of understand, because Saint Yune technically was supposed to be the last route until they added Finn's DLC, because people were like begging for it, since Finn dies in his route. Like, Finn dies in like almost every route. Like, it's just so, I don't know, it just didn't seem good. Like, and I think it was just a little too confusing for me, honestly, with what the heck was going on. I was trying to keep up. It was a very heavy emotional toll, so that's why I gave Saint Yune's route an F rank. Sorry, Saint Yune, like, just, you know, your good route kind of sucked, and it made me really fucking sad, and I literally had to, like, stop recording for a couple of days just to recover and bring myself back to a better headspace, because it was so depressing. Next after that is Enos's route with an average C rank. I think that Enos's route, honestly, it was just a little lackluster in comparison to the other guys. I know I just finished saying that Saint Yune's route was like crazy and there was so much happening. Enos's was kind of the opposite of that, where there wasn't a ton of drama. It was just like, oh, police corruption, which, like, I'm glad that we were able to get that, but it felt more like Enos's route was just a platform for Saint Yune's route. So that's the reason why I'm giving him a C. I thought he was decent, I thought it was okay, but I wouldn't say that it was like anything memorable. Like, I really don't remember much about it, except for the fact that he loves omelets. So next we have B route with good old Finn. The only reason why I think Finn is at a B, really, for me, is just, it felt kind of random. Like, I think it felt kind of rushed, his whole ending and stuff. Like, it just felt like he was suddenly this, it just didn't seem like Finn. He suddenly was like confident, and he suddenly was just like almost borderline aggressive in his romance towards Krimu, where he would like force kisses on her and like do all this stuff. And I was just like, I don't know if I like this. I think I liked it more towards the end, where he started kind of going back to his normal ways, especially when like Eltereed and Ulrik were kind of introduced, and like, I don't know, he just seemed normal again. Like, versus the beginning of the route, where he was like announcing to everyone that he was in love with her, and he like all of a sudden is doing all of these, like, I don't know, he was just kind of pushy about everything. So that's the only reason why I gave him a B. I felt like it was a little unnatural for him to all of a sudden be incredibly like Not incredibly, but he just pursued the main character so aggressively that I think that's the reason why he's at a B. A rank, we have 2 candidates. First I'll talk about Ulrik, because I think Ulrik, honestly, if I didn't like Adage's route that much, then I would have absolutely put Ulrik at S tier, because I think it was just the most classic good route, you know? Like, he was just such a cinnamon roll the whole time. He was really gently there, around the same age. They just have, like, similarities. They kind of bounced off of each other in a way that, like, just thought was so cute. And I think Ulrik as a character, as a romance option, was a really great idea, just because he just seems so gentle about everything. Like, even though he comes off as he's just very tsundere, you know? He comes off as harsh, and then after you play, you realize that he really does like her and stuff, and it's cute. It's like watching kids grow up kind of thing. So that's why he's at an A rank for me. And also, I love Ulrik. I think that, honestly, Ulrik has maybe the least amount of issues as well when it comes to everything. I know all the other guys have a lot of deep set trauma that they're dealing with. And Ulrik, even though he has some bad, things happen in his life and stuff, he's always been more on the positive side rather than the negative side. Eltereed is one of the most surprising routes to me, because I honestly, in the beginning, in the base game, when we're playing through that prisoner route or bodyguard route and etc., I hated him. I was like, oh my god, he's gonna be gross. This is disgusting. He was so flirty. I was like, oh god, I'm gonna vomit. And then he surprised me over and over and over again, to the point where I was like, damn, I think I kind of like this guy. And then at the end of his route, I was like, wow, I really like him. I don't know why they even inserted all of this stuff where he was so flirty and nasty and smooching and everything. If they cut all of that out, and they just kept it at, Eltereed being his genuine self, where he was, I don't know, a little sassy and a little, but confident and just, able to show weakness and ask for help and stuff like that. I think that is such an amazing, way to kind of develop his character and make him into, I guess an A rank ending. I think they really fleshed him out very well, to the point where I didn't just see him as a disgusting, weird pasta man, and I saw him as an actual, character. I stopped calling him Eltereed because of this. I really liked his route a lot. And last but not least is my favorite of all the routes. It's my S tier Adage route. I think that they did a great job fleshing out who Adage was and how Adage's relationship with the main character really changed him for the better and really changed her for the better also. I think they are the only couple where the main character was comfortable enough with them to push back, sass back, and fight back, and actually get into an argument with him about stuff, being like, hey, I really care about you, can you frickin' not? And then they're shouting at each other, and there's a conflict, and then there's resolution where they talk things out. I thought that was the healthiest thing. Plus, Adage, maybe, I just feel for Adage, you know? I think that his situation is a situation that is maybe more realistic in comparison to, for instance, Saint Yune and just even Finn a little bit, where he's just fighting for his dad's approval and he never really gets it. And I think in a way that is true to life. I think his was probably something that I could relate to more so than anybody else's route, where Glissade is just so unforgiving and just ignorant to everything that Adage does, even though Adage's been working his ass off trying to be a better doctor, a better son, a better everything, and you really see him struggle through that. I just loved his roots so much. I can't even express it into words. I really, really liked the argument too. I just I think, and the fact that he is so honest, I really appreciate the honesty from him. I think that him being able to say things straight up and just without any type of like cover-ups or anything, sometimes he comes off as harsh, but a lot of the times he's just saying it because he doesn't want to beat around the bush about things. And I think I just really appreciate that, you know? But that's my final tier rank. I'm so curious to see what you guys have to say. I'm like, please put in the comments what your tier is as well, like along with if you want to see the bad endings. But if you have a tier list, if you think that like a certain character was better than the other, I'm like really curious to see what people have to say, because obviously by no means is this the absolute correct tier of endings. This is just my personal opinion, but I would love to read why people think. Like, for instance, if someone really loves Saint Yune's route, yeah, please comment about it, because I really am interested in seeing what people think. So, I think all in all, Steam Prison is a game that is absolutely worth it. If you guys want to play through it without me crying or laughing or whatever over it, I think that that's a great idea. Originally, I would recommend getting it on Steam, but because the Nintendo Switch one came out literally as we were playing through it, I would recommend getting the one on the Switch, just because the Switch one has like extras and stuff like that. There's like, actually, I think there's extra stories too, which makes me like, no, why would they not release it on Steam? Oh my god. But I would 100% recommend getting it. I think on Steam it's $35 for the base game and then an extra $10 for Finn's route. But if you get it on Switch, you don't have to buy Finn's route separately. You can just get it all in one bundle. I don't remember how much it is. It's probably like $50 or $60, I assume. I just, oh man, I love this game so much. It is crazy. Oh my god, I can't believe it's over. And I guess I'll wrap it up here. I mean, next up we got Cafe Enchanté, which I promised people I would play through like the rest of it, because we started it and then I just stopped randomly because I just could not keep up with this and Steam Prison at the same time. There was a lot happening, and both are such high budget visual novels, so I wanted to give like just enough attention to each one to make sure that everything, I guess, was like good content, you know? So next is Cafe Enchanté. I have a whole bunch of random co-op stuff that I've done with Thomas as well. If you guys don't know Thomas, you can watch our Never Alone playthrough. I almost said Never Again. Well, also Never Again. Never Alone playthrough. We've also done some Dream Daddy co-op and stuff like that. You guys can check that out if you want. But I have a whole bunch of random stuff coming up, as well as Cafe Enchanté, so stay tuned, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. Bye!